Hello, my name is Mark from JazzGuitarLessons.net, and you're watching the JazzGuitarLessons.net vlog for Barry Galbraith Nowhere. So it's a comping on Out of Nowhere that I have recorded that you will see in just a minute. So this is the fifth piece in Barry Galbraith's book. It's great. It's the first one where we have, it's an easy piece, it's easy chords, but it's the first one where we have substantial stretches and things that you must check out rhythmically if you want to nail it. Rig rundown. Roland Cube 60 still, and it's the first study in this book out of the four other ones that I played systematically with just a pick. So Dunlop Jazz 3, black ones, striking chords, like a guitarist and not doing my usual clothing. Also, my metronome died, so I don't really like these apps, so I'm using the app for the metronome that comes with Guitar Tuna. So what I'll do is just play this piece for you now, and I will talk to you after for some fingerings, performance notes, and things to watch out for. Enjoy. A one, two, a 1, 2, 3, 4. One take. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed the performance. So of course this is an imperfect version, an imperfect take of a really cool comping study. You might hear my time fluctuate from time to time in the piece because it's pretty hard. Plus I say it at the end of the video right there. I just did this in one take to give my students a point of reference because I've been doing this with all students. Everybody goes through the entire book, and sometimes we discuss a lot about the fingers. We're like, hey, do this and don't do that. So I figured if I have these videos on YouTube, then you guys can just watch them instead of spending precious lesson time on these things. Now, a few notes. You'll see my head going down a lot because the book is right here. It's right there. And I want to point you to one typo in the edition. So what I did is I've been using the CD a lot through the years, not recently, but I noticed that sometimes the ink is wrong according to what they're playing. So I'll point you to one tiny typo. The end of what I call the second system, the second staff, there's a C note that is tied, an eighth note that is tied to the third staff, to a C note that is held for whole note. And there's no such thing. It's not played on beat and a 4, it's actually played on 1, so you can just scratch that out. The 8th note is not anticipated. The C is straight on 1 with the second finger, first bar of the third system. That's it for the typo. Now, this one, you probably know the piece Out of Nowhere. You came to me from out of nowhere. Is it? You get love that piece. piece. So it's a good jam session piece. It's a good song that old bebop players played. People played it. I think Parker played it as a ballad in Parker at the Philharmonics, or there's an orchestra at least. So easy piece, and that's what I said at the beginning. It's where on the second page, especially, he starts to put the gas down, like the pedal to the metal in terms of rhythm. So let's start with the things I want to show you. First, you have to be careful about what's happening in the first part of the second page. So what is happening is a series of, would we say, convoluted dotted quarter. So if you are aware of the Charleston rhythm, this is how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da. Recall the tune Shiny, the first piece in this book. And what happens with a Charleston is you can start to use dotted quarters sequentially. So you could play something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 di ba do. 1, 2, 3, 4, ba 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 de lu ba. So what happens is you can just tie them together, and it gives this really cool effect. So this is what Barry's doing in the first top of the second page. He's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1. So there are actually sequences of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks that are actually a dotted quarter note away. Notation might seem funny because these are actually short. So there's a little dot at the top and not besides the note, right? So dot on top means staccato, so it's cut short. That's why I kind of like to do my metal head thing. I do the palm mute. So instead of going, I go. I palm mute a little the sound so it's shorter and it gives this little cool effect. So be aware that you need to place those in time. It's not just BS and it's not just anticipation. It's tied a sequence of dotted quarters actually, but with short attacks, with attacks and notes that are short. So this is the first thing to watch out for. Sorry, it's still the morning, right? And I think maybe I need another coffee and perhaps a shower, something. So I wanted to get this out of the way as soon as possible in my day. Let's talk about stretches. So the first big stretch you will encounter is the third system on the second page. And what happens is you have to play an E flat chord like this, and then a D chord like this. Let's talk about the D chord, only the D13, which is the second to last chord on the third system, second page. It's a D13, and the sequence goes like this. So at first he plays that same thing, half step down. So you will notice, I'm not cheating or anything, there's 3 empty frets. So you have your index playing, I'm talking about the D still. So you have the C and the E here, and then you have the F sharp and the B. This is a pretty hectic stretch for most, so remember, you want to maximize your stretch and really reach with your index and pinky. So I'm trying to show this to you guys here. There's a voicing I really love that I encourage you to start and practice. It's for the A minor, so it's not for the D yet, but you play an open A, then you know this is your A minor triad, right? And then what you do is add the 9th that is right here, the B note, so it gives you this. So it's really cool, right? So what that D13 is a version of this with the F sharp note, because the F sharp is, right? The F sharp is the third of D. So this is the first place you have to stretch, and notice my fingering. This is a partial bar, and then third finger, pinky. People will try and play it backwards. It's not going to work. Really use third finger, pinky, like this. Good? So repeat it twice. Here, and then it's hard to grab fast, so please do what I call push-ups, do repetitions of going from one to another. That's the first instance of hardcore. Then we're in for a ride, because starting at the fourth system, there's the hardest part of the piece. It's the place where I spent 80% of my practice time working on this piece. Seriously, it's really difficult because it stretches and it doesn't give you any time to think. So we are going to start with that G flat chord that's here, and then going to a G major 7. This is a pretty common G major 7 voicing, which is altered G, B, D, and F sharp. The problem arises when we try to keep that same voicing and take it through the scale. So we go through the E minor 7, B minor 7, and we keep this all thirds voicing. This even is a stretch for some people. So you have that C major triad here, and then you have to play an A here, so you have to stretch somehow between the third and fourth finger, so it's not exactly always easy. So then going to the B. The higher it gets, the easier it gets because your frets are closer together, right? This is not so bad. The problem arises when you play this and you get to the B flat minor 7 to C minor 7. This is third bar of the fourth system down, and the B minor 7 is cruel. It's just... So this guy is not playing here, okay? There's this finger, and then the pinky. I'll give you the detail of what's really happening. There's a B flat minor triad, okay? And this B flat minor triad needs a 7th. The 7th is A, so actually, if you're a guitarist, you're gonna play B minor 7 like this, right? Or like this, or like that, or whichever way, like people will play it like this sometimes, right? But what Barry does is he has a triad, and the 7th is here. So yeah, there's 2 empty frets, and then you have to reach out. So the only way I figured this would be possible, because this is what he plays on the recording, and this is what is in ink on the sheet, is if you play your triad like this. So instead of going, you play like that. So you had a nice little preparation in stretching, and then you go and reach for that A flat here. So once again, finger 2, finger 1 top, and then play. Good. Then repeat that for the C minor. Those are beautiful voicings. Reminds me of Oliver Nelson, Stolen Moments, right? Boba, boba, boba. I don't know what he does exactly, but this is the type of voicing horn lines are allowed to play, because there's this little, and it's hard on the guitar, but it's really really easy to write that for a bunch of like 4 or 5 horns, right? So then this guy, and then just when you thought you were finished with the really hard fingerings, because this is enough, right? We saw this guy here, and then you have the then you play a version of B flat minor, and this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth bar on the 4th line of the 2nd page, and you have to play, keep this the same, and you have to reach out like this to play a very similar voicing, but this is actually will be counted as E flat because it has all the components of E flat. That's the 5th, the 7th, the tonic, and the 3rd of E flat. So very uncommon guitar voicing. So that's what I said at the beginning. The piece, it's not a hard piece to play because it's G major, then B flat. You know, it's a pretty easy piece even to improvise on. But then you encounter these spots where you have these really difficult to play voicings for just a bunch of 4 bars. So I'll just do this in slow motion so you can get an idea. If you happen to be working on these stretches, I'll start at the pickup to the 4th line on the 2nd page, and I'll do it rubato out of time. You can observe the fingerings. G flat. This is played short. All right. And then we continue with G. Hard stretch. Hard stretch. It's the hardest stretch of all. Then we get a little rest. Back to G, A minor. Then we go on the top strings. And we're done. And then the rest is kind of obvious. So this is all I wanted to discuss. Just make sure. First, I wanted to kind of justify myself and prove myself. I did not cheat a bit. This is exactly what Barry plays. I wanted to give you an opportunity to practice some of those stretches. So once again, there's this A minor thing that I really love to use. So you use your triad on top strings, then you go and fetch your 3rd, then you have another addition here of this other note, which is the 1st stretch. Then you have these quasi impossible to play. You have the triad, and then the 7th added on the 5th string, and then lastly, the very last one, this guy. I don't even want to talk about it, but this is exactly what is written. Take your time, be careful. Some people will kind of alter 1 or 2 voicings to go, I can't play the piece other way. It's good. However, keep in mind that you will have to go back and learn these voicings as is, because this is only the 5th piece in the book, and there's a lot of really not more difficult stretches, because I think that stretching it, pun intended, that's stretching it to the extent where you can humanly stretch your fingers. I happen to have large hands, but this is still difficult. But in the rest of the pieces, he will grab these voicings and do ideas that are rhythmically more challenging and have inner voice movements and have faster changes to one another. So it's really worthwhile. You can ask my private students, really worthwhile to spend some time and then do the full circle, do the full book, and then come back a year later to restudy these pieces, as some of you are probably doing right now, revisiting the old pieces. So that's it for Out of Nowhere, Barry Galbraith. Thank you for watching. Once again, my name is Mark from jazzguitarlessons.net. Please subscribe to our, sorry, my voice is going completely out. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you soon on the website for more free lessons, videos, podcasts, sheet music, jazzguitarlessons.net. Improve your jazz guitar with a real teacher. Take care. See you next time.